Hi everybody, this video is going to help you out on graphing quadratics on the calculator. So this is just some extra practice to hope that you can understand this just a little bit better. So example 1, we have an equation in standard form. Now instead of rewriting this equation into vertex form, I'm going to do this on my calculator. So the first step is to go to y equals on your calculator and type in the function x squared minus 2x minus 1. And then you're going to look at the graph. Now you want to make sure all of your plots are off. And a good place to start is always zoom 6. It brings us back to that standard window. And I think we have a very nice view of our parabola now, so we don't really need to change anything. So the next step is to actually find the vertex. Now my suggestion to you is write down any buttons that you press so you know what to do on your own. So I'm going to go to second calculate, which is all of the options that we can do. And in this case, I'm going to go to minimum because the lowest point of my graph is a minimum. If it was a high point, I'd find a maximum, and we'll talk about that later. So since my parabola is opening up, my vertex is the minimum, the lowest point on my graph. So the first thing I like to do is move my cursor pretty much as close to on top of my vertex as possible, and then just follow the directions on the calculator. The first thing is to go left bound. It needs a left bound for that vertex. So you're going to use your left arrow key. Just hit it a couple times to say, yep, this is left of my vertex. See the arrow that just formed up here? It's saying it's got to be to the right of that point. And then I'm going to go back to the vertex. And now my calculator is saying, all right, I need a right bound. So I'm going to go to the right, just a couple. Don't have to go too far, as long as you go to the right, and press enter. So basically, we just told the calculator in between this x value and this x value is our vertex. That's all we're doing. Left bound, right bound. Tells you to guess, but you don't really need to do that because your calculator knows exactly where it is. So you just press enter and you get your vertex. So sometimes you get some funky decimals or maybe scientific notation. 1.00000012 is the same as 1. So here my vertex is 1, negative 2. So I could use that to help me graph. 1, negative 2. My third step would be to find my x-intercepts, if we have any. So my x-intercepts here are what we call zeros. So I'm going to actually write that down also. They're where our x value, or our y value is equal to 0. That's why we call them zeros. So you're again second calculate, and now we're going to look for the 0. And I like to always start on the point I'm looking for. So my cursor is on my 0. Remember, a 0 is where the graph touches or crosses the x-axis. So again, I need a left bound. So I'm going to go to the left 3 times, whatever you need to do. You don't need to go forever. Not too far, as long as you're clearly to the left, and press enter. Then I go back to my 0 because now my calculator needs a right bound. So I'm going to hit my right arrow key. I think 2 times, 3 times is a good rule of thumb. Press enter and enter one more time to guess. And here I've got negative 0.4142. Not pretty, but that's okay. So negative 0.4142, comma 0. And then we have another one. So let's look for that one. I need to go over to, second calc, 0. I'm going to go over to that 0 that I'm looking for over here. Now I need a left bound. So the process is always the same. Left bound means hit your left arrow 3 times, press enter, go back to the 0. You need to then go right bound, so hit your right arrow key 2 times, press enter, and then guess, press enter, and here we've got 2.414, excuse me. So I'm at 2.414, comma 0. So that point is, all right, maybe about here, and about here, and I have my parabola. It's really important to get 3 points, so make sure you do that. Another way you could get points is to go to your second table. And look, we have all of these points right here that you can use. So that's also another option, but since most of the problems require you to get the x-intercepts, you're going to need to do that. So if you have any other questions on that one, let's rewind and watch again. So in example 2, this equation is already factored. So there's a couple things we could do. We can go to y equals, plug it in, find the vertex, and then we get to talk about the x-intercepts. Right, the steps are always the same. So let's go to y equals and type that in. Got 3 times x plus 1 times x minus 4. I think that's right. Let me double check. Plus 1 minus 4. Oh, and you know what? There's a negative 3 in front. That looks like I forgot. So I'm going to go second insert, negative 3. Oh, I did have that there. It's weird. Okay, there we go. Negative 3 times x plus 1 times x minus 4. And I'm going to go to my graph. So here's an example where I cannot see my maximum. So I'm going to change my window. That means my y maximum, I need to go up higher, needs to be a little bit bigger. So I'm going to try 20 and see if that works. Great, now I can see. This is an example of where our graph is opening down. So the highest point, our vertex, is our maximum. It's the highest point that it gets. So let's find that first. Second calc, this time I'm going to go maximum. And I always start with my cursor at the maximum, or at the point I'm trying to find. So left bound, I'm going to the left. I'm going to hit it 3 times, press enter. Go back to my maximum. Now I need a right bound. So I'm going to hit my right arrow key 3 times, press enter. Enter one more time. So my maximum here is 1.5 and 18.75. So the maximum is our vertex. So we could graph that over here if we wanted to. Now, our x-intercepts. We can go through the process to find the zeros. So second calc, 0. And I'm going to find the one on the left first. So I'm going to put my cursor as close as I can. I don't get exactly on it, but I get pretty close. So left bound, go to the left twice, enter. Right bound, go on the other side of that 0 to the right, press enter. So this one is negative 1, 0. Oops. And now I need to find my other 0. So second calc, 0. And I can see my graph crosses the x-axis over to the right. So I'm going to hit my right arrow key till I get just about there. And the first thing I need is a left bound. So I'm going to go to the left, which in this case happens to be above that x-axis, but we don't need to think about it that way. I'm just going to hit my left arrow key, go to the right bound. So I'm going to hit my right arrow key twice, press enter, enter one more time. My other x-intercept is at 4, 0. Now, is there another way we could have found those? Well, when we have factored form, we factor it for a reason, because these factors, if we set them equal to 0, they are our zeros. So we went through that whole process, but we could have found out from here x equals negative 1 and x equals 4 are our zeros, which is exactly what we got. So that's another option when we have factored form. So you can now do your graph. So negative 1, 0, and 4, 0. I'm going to go up by 2s here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Well, maybe 5. 5, 10, 15, 20. 1.5, about 18.75 maybe over here. So here I went by ones, here I went by fives to make my graph. So that's all the buttons that you need to do this on your calculator. I recommend rewatching this and making sure that you're following along with your calculator and writing down anything that you need to help you in class. I hope this helped.